In the previous episode, Twilight revealed he had survived by anchoring his soul to the Origin Blood Spear, mocking Luminous as his greatest masterpiece, while proving himself effectively immortal. Now, Luminous confronts him knowing she can't win, but she fights anyway. Choosing strategy over raw power, she sacrifices the Night Rose sword in Rosa Espada, turning it into rose petals imbued with the concept of death through her ultimate skill, Asmodeus. She couldn't kill Twilight because of his immortality, but she still managed to wound and humiliate him, proving that her unbreakable will is exactly why she was called his greatest masterpiece. Now, let's continue the story and jump straight into Chapter 2, Part 3. Twilight slowly rises, his playful smile vanishing as he coldly admits that he has grown distracted by the mortal world and must now fulfill his true objective, welcoming the return of Lord Veldanava. The moment he says it, Luminous is shaken to her core, because Veldanava's revival changes everything. Defeating Ivorage would no longer be the end. It would only be the beginning of a far greater conflict, as many powerful beings once admired or followed Veldanava, enough to split their current forces in two. Unlike others, Luminous herself feels no loyalty toward him. She acknowledges his greatness, but his death never moved her emotionally. Guy saw him as a friend, Ramirez owed him a debt, Milim's feelings were unclear despite him being her father, and Dagruel, once defeated by Veldanava, still seemed loyal. Dino was rumored to be a former subordinate, but was already an enemy, while Veldora's seal made Dagruel irrelevant for now. Leon would likely side with Luminous because of Chloe, who stands with her, leaving only one true variable that mattered, rimuru. Luminous understands that if rimuru ever turned against them, defeat would be absolute, but she also knows his nature. He would oppose anyone, even Veldanava himself, if the world or his ideals were threatened. That realization gives her confidence. With rimuru present, victory or defeat no longer matters. What matters is resisting to the very end and leaving proof of their existence. Putting aside concerns about Guy, Ramirez, and Milim for later, Luminous prioritizes the immediate threat before her. After processing everything in accelerated thought, she reaches her decision. Twilight must be dealt with now. Luminous quickly regains her composure, but Twilight only sighs in disappointment, admitting that he had genuinely hoped to recruit her by revealing Veldanava's name. But her refusal leaves him with no reason to spare her. Having made his decision, Twilight unleashes his true power, pouring it into the Origin Blood Spear, casually saying goodbye as he moves at a speed far beyond what he had shown before. In an instant, the spear pierces straight through Luminous's chest, striking her heart. In that moment, she realizes the truth. Twilight had been holding back the entire time, because he truly liked her and wanted her as an ally until the very end. Yet Luminous feels no regret. She accepts death calmly, briefly wishing Chloe would come, before understanding why she doesn't. Chloe isn't absent, she's protecting the world from Everage, a greater crisis. And if Chloe foresaw this outcome, she must have trusted Luminous completely. As Luminous reaches that realization at the moment she falls, gravely wounded by Origin blood, Testarossa and the rest of Rimuru's forces finally arrive on the battlefield alongside the multinational army. As the battlefield erupts, Testarossa calmly observes the chaos, while the true calamity unfolds unseen. Milim and Ivorage clashing inside Tenshukaku, their overwhelming presence sensed only by the strongest. On the surface, the allied forces spring into action. Carrion charges east to hold back the cryptids alongside Phobio and the remaining Beast King warriors, reinforced by 1,000 elite fighters from the Hiryuten Shidan. Frey launches a ruthless aerial patrol with only the most capable members of Milim's royal guard, abandoning all unnecessary burdens in a battle where only the strongest survive. Hinata quickly reorganizes the front lines, confirming that Luminous is critically unreachable by healing magic, and orders the warrior monk priests led by Midre to reinforce the west, the most dangerous zone, while Holy Knights hold the east, self-regeneration abilities secure the north, and Leon's mages stabilize the south. Under Benimaru's command, they rally without fear, their resolve absolute after Rimuru's return. As morale surges, the Primordials divide their roles with precision. Testarossa stays east with Benimaru, Carrera heads north to clear threats, Ultima takes the south. With Luminous incapacitated, Misery chooses to replace her and uphold the forbidden miracle of God ritual, while Rain departs alone to support Luminous directly, as Twilight theatrically mourns what he calls his masterpiece. Mocking Luminous's apparent defeat, everything suddenly goes wrong. Her lifeless body begins to float, and the Origin blood spear meant to kill her dissolves into rose petals, reabsorbing into her chest and glowing as if answering her will. Frozen in disbelief, Twilight can't comprehend how his own weapon chose her instead. Then Luminous slowly opens her eyes. Her heterochromatic gaze shifts into a chaotic inversion of crimson and blue as her aura, spirit, and presence surge to levels far beyond anything seen before. With calm certainty, she declares the experiment a success, revealing that she has fully regained all of her memories. In that moment, Twilight realizes this isn't resurrection, but evolution, something even he can't immediately grasp. As he stands shaken by the loss of origin blood, Luminous gazes down on him with cold arrogance and delivers the final blow, asking whether he can truly understand what she has become now. Twilight demands answers, but Luminous responds with cold authority, explaining that true identity lies in the soul's core and its memories, and that immortality isn't simply living forever, but preserving one's personality without corruption. Using Veldora's repeated rebirths as proof, she shows that even true dragons possess flawed immortality, dismisses Twilight's Manus form as incomplete borrowed power, and presents Velgrin's parallel existence as the only path to true eternity. Enraged, Twilight strikes her vital core with perfect precision, only to realize too late that Luminous anticipated everything. Twilight's attack should have killed Luminous. His hand pierces straight through her body, but instead, she calmly grabs his arm and crushes it, standing completely unharmed as if nothing happened. Stunned, Twilight retreats, realizing this is impossible, because the origin blood didn't kill her. It awakened her lost memories. Luminous explains that the experiment split memory and personality, but now both have reunited, meaning she isn't a copy or successor, but the complete resurrection of the divine ancestor. Luminous Twilight Valentine. Luminous calmly reveals the truth Twilight refuses to face. As the divine ancestor, she once transplanted only her personality into a test subject, and that very first experiment was herself. In that moment, the divine ancestor split into two incomplete beings. Twilight kept the body but lost the core personality, while Luminous inherited the will and identity but lacked full memories. Though history mislabeled her as the second disciple, Luminous was always the original proof of the experiment's success and its cost, leading her to deliver the final verdict that shatters Twilight completely. He is not fake, but he is no longer whole. Consumed by rage, Twilight finally abandons all restraint and fires what looks like a crude mass of ultra-dense magic at Luminous, only for it to reveal the divine ancestor's hidden techniques, reshaping into chains that completely bind her. Convinced he has won, he activates his absolute domain, Eternal Twilight, proclaiming her eternal annihilation through the ultimate skill Angra Manyu, King of Evil, a situation where escape should have been impossible by every known law. But Luminous calmly dismantles that certainty, revealing that she has fully inherited Angra Manyu's memories as well, and that knowledge itself is power. Eternal Twilight collapses instantly. Twilight's follow-up attacks fail repeatedly, and Luminous explains the turning point: the moment her memories returned, her ultimate skill. Asmodeus evolved into Ahura Mazda, King of Good Light, the conceptual opposite of Angra Manyu, granting her absolute authority to nullify all of his techniques. The roles reverse completely, leaving Twilight mentally shattered as the being who was meant to be perfect realizes his own incompleteness. Yet victory brings Luminous no relief, because the memories flooding back expose the truth. Centuries of unethical experiments, atrocities without restraint, and inhuman choices were all committed by Twilight himself after losing his original righteous personality. Accepting that burden, she tells Twilight she will take responsibility and give him peace, only for him to scream in childish denial. Luminous closes the distance instantly, strikes him down, and declares that truth does not require permission. With the Night Rose sword destroyed, she summons Dharma, the blade once entrusted to her by Veldanava when she was still the divine ancestor, long sealed away for being too absolute. Dharma recognizes her immediately, reshaping to mirror the Night Rose sword and confirming her legitimacy. Terror overtakes Twilight because his memories tell him that once Dharma is drawn, defeat is inevitable. Looking at him not with hatred but sorrow, Luminous acknowledges that while his sins are unforgivable, he too is a victim of her experiment, and because she cannot deny that shared burden, she chooses mercy. Her authority fully ascends, Ahura Mazda complete, her weapon evolving from mythical grade to Genesis grade, her existence value exceeding 20 million and surpassing 40 million with Dharma's amplification, an absolute, overwhelming force. Resolute, she activates her final secret technique, Memory and Requiem, ending everything in a serene, painless conclusion. In his final moment, Twilight regains clarity, understands his mistake, realizes Luminous was right all along, and dissolves into dust, returning to her.